Well, hello. On this channel, we've done a variety of things about the upcoming presidential election in 2020, and that's kind of one of the ongoing themes that we have here. But one of the things that I have not talked about that much is what is going on with Congress and in the Senate. Now, since Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez won the election for the 14th District of New York, she'll be representing the House, of course, for that particular district. And she's been vlogging a lot on Instagram about sort of the ongoing process, like the orientation, the welcome packets that they send to people. Those things are rather insightful, but I don't know. I thought we'd talk a little about what is the Democratic Party going to do in the future? Because a lot of people have been asking the question, are we going to have Democrats or are we going to have Democrats and Justice Democrats? Progressive Voice just put out a poll. It's like, should the Democrats and the Justice Democrats split into two groups? We're talking two parties. And on the one hand, I think that that is good from a strategy perspective. But on the other hand, it's almost just like you're just going to be playing divide and conquer. Like, what would happen if you were to do that in the general election for the presidency, to have, a Republican versus the Democrat and a Justice Democratic candidate? From history, we've learned that that's just a terrible thing. It divides the vote, right? But what I really think that is going on is that people are coming at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in the absolute wrong way. I don't really have anything to say about her one way or another, about her character or about her as a politician. She's more of just part of the system. It's like she's just another brick in the wall. But it's like, and what I say by that is, the Republicans are criticizing her for being youthful and inexperienced. They say she doesn't know anything. They're going after her policies. No, sorry, not her policies. No, no, no. They're going after her character, and they say that she doesn't know anything about her policies, and they're trying to portray her as someone who is ignorant. Whereas the Democrats are just sort of looking to her as they're hoping that she'll become the star of the Democratic Party. They want her to be the future leader of the Democrats. They want her to be the future face of the Democratic Party, most specifically this Justice Democrat Political Action Committee. But the real answer is none of the above. I don't think either side should be portraying her as such. What really needs to happen is, they need to sort of recognize that America is governed by elites. America is governed by elite ruling classes. America is governed by people who are in elite circles and their interconnections of these elite circles. That's not a crazy conspiracy theory. That is very, very much in plain sight. We all know this, and it's very evident. I mean, who really are the Justice Democrats? Well, they're a political action committee that was founded by Cenk Uygur, Kyle Kulinski, and parts of the Bernie Sanders campaign, if you will, the Bernie Sanders movement. This is all coming together as one. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez also identifies as a democratic socialist. Now, when we examine this from that standpoint, well, how is this not an elitist movement? I mean, do you think that the Young Turks are just some YouTubers? Do you think Kyle Kulinski from Secular Talk is just some YouTuber? No, he might have started out that way, but he got absorbed into the elite circles. That's why America is often referred to as an oligarchy as opposed to an aristocracy. The oligarchy is, of course, a select group of people get to run the show, whereas aristocracy is, of course, about, bloodlines. The things with the oligarchs is they can pull new people into their movement, but we really have to recognize, Kyle Kulinski was pulled into this because of the Young Turks. Well, where did they get their money from? They got it from Buddy Roemer, the former governor of Louisiana, and the former vice president, Al Gore. You ever heard that name before? I mean, Al Gore gave them a huge boost, giving them a spot on current TV. And of course, they got millions from the former governor of Louisiana. Nothing against Buddy Roemer. I have nothing bad to say about him, really. I mean, he would have been probably a formidable opponent for Barack Obama in 2012 when he ran for president. But it's like, the point is, they aren't just coming out of nowhere. They just didn't hit it big. No, they had to rely on existing social circles, and this is hardly a grassroots movement. This is from above and from below. Yes, they connect to a lot of viewers, but the Justice Democrats are being supported by the establishment. They are not some voice of the people. They are the voice of an establishment. So it's like, do you want establishment A or establishment B? And that's exactly what's going on with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And like, I really wish that both sides would come at it from that particular angle. I mean, I wish both sides would not just sort of try to just either, firstly, the Republicans are just attacking her character and they're saying she's ignorant. Those are their sort of mudslinging approaches to dealing with Ocasio Cortez. The Democrats are just like, hey, this person's going to be our new superstar. People like Nancy Pelosi, of course, aren't accepting that. But when you look at the Democrats right now, if you have the Democrats versus Justice Democrats, what do you really have? You have a horrendous establishment. Nancy Pelosi, Joe Manchin, Maxine Waters, Dianne Feinstein, all of these people are super establishment. They come based on connections to someone else's money. This is one of the reasons why people were so attracted to Bernie Sanders in the 2016 election, because he ran without a super PAC. He relied on individual contributions, and I mean the money poured in, and that stuff's all publicly released. I mean we can see what's going on there, and I've talked about this on the segments before, where it's like, if you want to learn about a candidate, you can't do it with hours of YouTube. You need to learn who is supporting them financially. Well, who's supporting Alexandria Ocasio Cortez financially? The establishment, other circles of the elites that, and they're all interconnected because they all rely on the same thing. They all rely on each other. That's why like it's referred to as an oligarchy, because all elites are interconnected. It's just that this is a very, very small portion of it. Kyle Kalinske was someone who was pulled into the elite circles by the Young Turks, as well as now Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has done the same. She's been absorbed into the elite circles. She's an elite the same way that any other person who has these connections would be. If the Democrats want to actually look forward to have someone, who isn't sponsored by some giant monolith, what they would really want is if they actually want a genuine grassroots candidate. I mean, where is the person who is just like somebody going door to door, getting petitions signed in the rain, who has really good ideas, who is just, going to get famous because of their ideas, as opposed to connections? That's the whole deal with Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. The whole reason that she rose to fame and power is because she had these connections to the Young Turks, and she was a former staffer for Ted Kennedy. She was very heavily involved in the process at an early age. So it's like she is just somebody who got absorbed into the elite circle. It does not change anything. This is the same status quo that we're dealing with. And if you think that the Justice Democrats are going to be the answer to this thing, I really don't believe that they are. I mean, it's more just like the establishment is taking a different shape. One of the advantages, though, with the Justice Democrats is they would actually be able to interact more with the voices of the kind of more millennial side of the Democratic Party, because of their online interface. They have the ability to connect with people in a sort of a more indirect interaction, which is a good thing. I'm not going to sound like I'm just completely hating. I mean, we have to call it as it is, and it's like there are some benefits to having them, and definitely they have more of an in touch. They are more in touch with the constituents, as opposed to something like the already established Democrats, like the people we talked about before, Joe Manchin, Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, and such. Even some of the upcoming individuals for the presidency in 2020, like we're going to have possibly Eric Holder, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris. All three of those people are terrible. Cory Booker can't even think for himself because he's paid not to. He is living, breathing, sweating the establishment. I mean, he just got like, what was it, like I believe his campaign got 300 million from big pharma. I mean, I'm going off of a Facebook meme on something like that, so yeah, I mean, that's very difficult to cite that figure with any certain degree of certainty. But Cory Booker receiving 300 million from big pharma, that's not what the Democrats wanted. And if you think that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is going to be some sort of game changer in this particular aspect of the political cycle, I don't believe that she is, because she's getting all kinds of money, support, airtime from these so-called Justice Democrats, from the Young Turks who were supported by Buddy Roemer and by Al Gore. They're supported by millions of dollars all in the same. I mean, There, not to mention people like Buddy Roemer, the former governor of Louisiana, and Al Gore, the former vice president of the United States. They are established individuals in the political process as well. The establishment is just taking a different shape. And the fact of the matter is, people like me are probably not going to be able to extend this vocal cry to that many people because they have such a large force in the online media and the online media business. They have such a large force in the online media presence. For example, they can connect with so many people. The Young Turks have what, 4 million subscribers now? They definitely have more views than any other online news agency. I believe that they are indeed the largest online news agency. So, well, there's your new establishment. It has just taken shape. And they didn't come out of nowhere. Once again, they got their money from somewhere else and they relied upon their political connections from somewhere else. So the establishment has just taken a different form. If the Democrats actually want to have somebody who's going to be out there representing the interests of their constituents and the people, they need to be finding someone who is just going to be standing on a soapbox down by the supermarket, shouting out exactly what people want to hear, and then someone just needs to recognize, hey, this is our person. That's what they need. They need someone to be pulled out of nowhere. The Democrats need somebody that is going to be lifted up out of the out of oblivion, pretty much. Just pull somebody out of thin air, someone who is actually involved with, things like signing petitions, things like trying to organize their local community, someone who is not being supported by a single dime. And we have the technology. That is not a ridiculous thing. If you think that that's ridiculous, it is not. I mean, it's like we have the technology for this. We have social media. We have ideas. We have all sorts of ways to connect these things out there. And there are people out there who are sharing ideas all the time online. The Young Turks are on the one hand are talking about getting money out of politics, but at the same time, they're also earning millions of dollars, and then they're now supporting their own candidates. So the money is not getting out of politics, and the Justice Democrats are not the answer to that. They might be an improvement to the current political system. They might be an improvement to getting rid of people such as, like Nancy Pelosi, and AOC is talking all about getting Nancy Pelosi out of the chances of being Speaker of the House. That's a good thing. She's been there too long. This is why people are talking about term limits. This is why people are talking about all sorts of things associated with getting new blood into the Democratic Party. Furthermore, it is true that the Democrats did not have an exact leader. It is true that the Democrats didn't have one single person that they could rally around. What the Democrats were doing instead was they were trying to rally around a variety of issues, such as universal health care, but the problem was they were using different names. They were saying single payer, universal, Medicare for all. It's like they couldn't even get their terminology straight. And then the next thing that they had to do was they talked about things like ending the wars. They talked about things like, of course, civil rights and LGBTQ rights, all of those things. They had a platform based on issues, but they had no face. They had no leader. And so the people like Cenk Uygur and Kyle Kulinski and the remnants of the Bernie Sanders campaign, Our Revolution, they were just like, okay, well, we need a leader. We need someone up and coming. We need someone who can connect with both the millennial vote and the already existing Democratic circles who just want to quash the Republicans. So they're going about it in that particular manner. They're going about it in that way. But the problem is, though, they aren't that different from the existing establishment. They are not that different than the existing Democratic Party. In fact, they are all interconnected. They all are part of the elite circle. And once again, this is an oligarchy. This is not about like Kyle Kalin. They might be the tail end of this, but they're still part of the global elite process all the same. I do have to reiterate it one more time. If the Democrats actually want to get new blood into the party, it's not going to be done with something like the Young Turks or the Justice Democrats or even Our Revolution. These things are too big. The Democrats are just going to need somebody out of thin air, someone who is involved with the local communities, who is just, putting forward ideas, someone who is not supported by a single dime, or not even 10 cents, someone who is just out there putting a voice out there of ideas that are what the Democratic constituents want to hear. Imagine that, someone who's actually representing the people in the so-called representative system that we have. And yes, they tried with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but she's establishment all the same. She was a staffer for Ted Kennedy, and she was chosen and groomed for this by Cenk Uygur and Kyle Kalinske and Anna Kasparian and all the rest of them. She is she's just absorbed into the elite circle. No, we need someone who, imagine this, if we could just have somebody who's just gonna be like, hey, I'm a man or a woman with a platform, and then they just get their petition signed, they get their signatures, they get on the ballot, and then people vote for them based on their ideas. Oh, wouldn't that be a dream? Well, that dream is far away because we have just so much money in politics, and it's not only the money. That's what we really have to insist. It's not only the money, it's these interconnected elite circles that are not going away. So adding the Justice Democrats in, that's not going to do it. That's not enough. It's not enough. They need just a complete overhaul of the entire process. Well, anyway, thank you to anyone who's been listening in, and thank you so much. Gonna be signing off now, and let's discuss in the comments section below. And until next time,